I hate Metallica. Hate's a bit of a strong word. I do not care for Metallica.
What?
Now, part of it is because, yes, they are a popular band and it's cool to hate the popular thing, but I have my reasons. I'll just say a couple things I like about the band. One, they have a really cool name. Like, it's such a hard name, Metallica. Like, you already know what that is. A metal band with the name Metallica. It's like if you were a rock and roll band called the Rolling Stones. Can you imagine? But yeah, there's a reason why it's on t-shirts everywhere. So that's one thing I like about the band. Another thing I like about the band is how their music is used for torture. Isn't that like the goal for like most metal bands? My metal exposure boils down to League of Legends and Death Clock. So yeah, music, US government, torture, prisoners of war. Pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I'll just say one more reason. I mean, they were in Fortnite, so that's cool. I mean, it wasn't a particularly cool event. I mean, kind of. Yeah, I mean, let's start talking about why I hate the band. So, let's talk about each band member. I said I would start hating them, but then let me talk about the two I don't hate. Let's start with Robert Trujillo, because he honestly seems like the coolest dude. The only exposure I have of him is his audition tape for Metallica, and you could tell that he's just like chill and he wants to like just play, you know? And I think that's pretty cool. And from what I've heard, he's like regarded as one of the chillest dudes in metal. So yeah, props to him. I don't have anything bad to say about him. And same goes with Kirk Hammett. Or Hamlet. I don't have a page up, so I'm just remembering off the top of this. So all I remember from him is that he likes surfing. So yeah, those two seems pretty cool. So let's talk about the other two. Let's talk about the main man, James Hetfield. Now, reason for making this video. I'm sick and tired of seeing the musician ads.
Grab your guitar, get musician.
If you could boil down why I hate Metallica, it'd be this reason only. I just don't want to see the musician ads anymore. But that's one reason I hate Metallica, specifically James Hetfield. Another reason is the dog story. I don't know if he apologized for this, probably, and it was long ago, so you know people can change. But he kicked a dog because it was bothering him or something like that. The story goes, he and Dave Mustaine, who we'll talk about more. Mustaine? It's Dave Mustaine, right? Yeah. And they were like in an argument, and eventually the dog was bothering James, and he kicked the dog, and then Dave punched him. I mean, it was kind of deserved. I know Dave apologized for punching James, which seems a bit weird. Like, somebody kicks your dog. I mean, I think you're in the right for punching him back, but I digress. It was long ago, so he probably apologized, but like, I mean, that's like in the back of your head, like, he kicked a dog, man. Also, I know he's like has ties to the NRA or something like that, so that's another reason to like not like him as much. And also, I've heard he's like pretty hard to work with. So yeah, but it's not all hate for him. I'll talk about more about, because honestly, he does have like one good thing I like about him. But let's talk about Dave Mustaine, because we can't talk about hating Metallica without naming the #1 Metallica hater, and that is Dave Mustaine. Now, he was part of the original guys who created Metallica, and then he got kicked out the band earlier, something like that. It's like if you watch Death Clock, it's like Magnus Hammersmith. It's based off him, who honestly has one of the coolest songs in the show. But I digress. So Dave Mustaine was kicked out, and he formed his own band, Megadeth, which is like, again, a really hard name, and it's a successful band, but like nowhere to the depths of Metallica, because Metallica is like, when you think metal band, you think Metallica. So honestly, I would hold a grudge like that too. I think he held it for like 20 years plus or something. It's crazy. Probably squashed the beef, but honestly, like in the back of your head, you'd probably be like, yeah, I still kind of hate those guys. But I don't want to like glaze him up too much. Like I just found out like I wear like the same cologne as him, and like that kind of gave me like an icky feeling. So like now I gotta get a new cologne. Ugh. Anyways, that's number one hater, like way on the list. So let's get to the main reason. Number one reason to hate Metallica, and you probably knew what it was, and it's coming. The drummer, Lars Ulrich. If anybody's hitting Metallica, it's because of him. And there are so many reasons, so many reasons. Number one, probably the first reason why I don't like Metallica is because of the Napster thing. Do you think we could have had free music everywhere? Now we have like the, pretty messed up music space, I guess. But I mean, if it just happened to be Metallica and Napster, it probably would have been someone else long into the future anyways. It just happened to be them. So there's that. What I did like about that though is later on during a Twitch event when Metallica was playing, they'd get copyright struck and in their own performance was muted. So that was a pretty cool thing to happen to them. Bit of irony, karma. But another reason to hate Lars is because he's not a good drummer, like top metal bands of all time. And you think he'd be like one of the top drummers, but he's just not very good. And there's a reason for that, but it's fun to make fun of him for being bad. Like it's kind of like the Ringo thing where you're not even like the best drummer of your own band. Again, Ringo has his own problems to deal with, which probably will make a video because the Beatles are a very interesting band. Most lukewarm statement of all time. But there's like so many things problematic about the Beatles that probably were worth talking about. But this is about Metallica. Back to Lars Ulrich. He's not a good drummer. And a reason for that is because he's very lazy at practice. I remember seeing his video of him trying to learn like a simple drum pattern, and it was just awful. I mean, it's worth checking out if you wanna, but yeah, he's not a good drummer. And not a good drummer. He gets very heated during band practices and yada, yada, yada. There's a bunch of horror stories about him. So he seems kind of like a dick. Seems. Because honestly, I used to hate Metallica. I know it says I hate Metallica. But now it's like I kind of dislike him. But that hate kind of has like dwindled down. Because I learned more about Lars. And honestly, he seems like... he seems like a pretty cool dude, and I'm honestly really like his story. So the story of Metallica, or how Lars joined Metallica, goes is James and others were forming a metal band, and they were putting auditions out, and Lars auditioned for the drummer, and they all unanimously, I'm still messing up that word. They all unanimously agreed that Lars was the worst drummer they ever seen. And they were like, no way, dude. Go practice before you even think about it and whatnot. And this is what I like about James. Like the only thing I like about James is he kind of felt bad for Lars. Like, yeah, he was a bad drummer, but he was like, I'll hang with him because he seems like a pretty cool dude anyways. So he went over to Lars and was like, why don't we just like mess around for a bit and whatnot. And then, they started like to form Metallica. And that was like, I thought that was pretty cool. Like despite being bad, he still had like an urge to become like a good drummer. Like the whole reason Lars is playing the drums is to like look cool. Like that's his whole drive. Like he's in love with like the whole rock star life and whatnot. And you could tell like he's not so much in love with like the drums, more so like the image, but he does have like some credibility. Like from what I've heard, he has innovated some drum playing and whatnot. And he does, if I remember correctly, he uses like a special drumsticks that's not wooden so it wouldn't break. So, I mean, that just adds to the thing where he's playing hard rather than just playing professionally, if you will. But even though Lars is lazy and doesn't want to practice, he does have dedication. He never missed a show besides one. And if I remember, so he never missed a show. And yeah, I'm just remembering him reciting this one video I saw, like, I think it's called like The Impossible Job of Metallica's Drummer. It's a great video if you watch. Basically, in summary, he's dedicated to not to the craft, but to his bandmates and whatnot. And recently, what made me make this video is I saw a video of him inviting a kid to stage, and it was like, damn, I guess you really can't hate him after that. Like, he's pretty cool, willing to, like, yeah. So I admit defeat, like, yeah, Metallica seems pretty cool, but that doesn't mean I'll start liking the band. Heck, to admit to you, I didn't want to admit this to you, I've never really listened to a full song besides in Fortnite, besides the game mode in Fortnite. So, like, how can you say you hate them if you never listened to a song? That doesn't seem fair. It's like, yeah, but still, I'm just going to keep disliking them. It's like, if you ever seen like that one episode in Amphibia or Tangled, it's like that. That's how I feel towards Metallica. I'm never going to like them, nor do I think I ever will. I don't want to give them a chance, but I really can't say I hate them anymore, because despite their wrongdoings, they seem to be better people now. Like, and I think there's a message in that. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I mean, use your critical thinking skills. All right, that seems a bit mean. I'll tell you it.